All right, how's everybody doing today? Everybody enjoying their weekend? Just a few things. I've been kind of going over this, so I don't think the sonic boom had anything to do with the other detonation. I said that nuclear weapons are just, again, look at what they teach you about nuclear weapons and what it does to everything, and then go look at Nagasaki, Hiroshima, all those areas. They're alive and thriving, blah, blah, blah. There was no nuclear detonation. It was just symbolic of a time hop. That's all. And so just like we had the blowing up on the pad was symbolic of one of those time hops. In 3 days, right? The bombs were dropped 3 days apart. So that would take us to the 31st. And I'm pretty sure that is the day. Because if we don't go then, I'm based on the storyline I've been watching, just these events that are taking place, the names involved, it's just hard to see anything other than that. And now a few other things that I have discovered since doing that last video. It turns out, okay, so we had a planetary alignment taking place, and like I said, there were like 3 different conjunctions, and I'm sorry, I did not look them up. I was looking up other stuff when I had a minute. I'm sorry. But the current alignment that's been in motion for this whole week, and on the 31st, here's some key notes about it, okay? So the particular alignments that are taking place, one of them hasn't occurred for 1,000 years. So that goes to do with the 1,000-year window of time, right? Right now we currently have Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius. And then we also have Saturn and Neptune in perfect conjunction at exactly 0 degrees of Aries, and that's the starting point of what they call the global grid. And this information came from somewhere else. I was unaware of that part right there, so that's even more good news. And so just like the event that took place with the meeting with Donald Trump and China's leader, and that took us back to around the year 480 BCE. So this particular week-long alignment that's going to come to a head on the 31st, the last time it was seen in the sky was at 1406 BCE. Now again, I don't put a lot of stock in any of the dates, and it just is what it is, right? So we're at that point, I do believe. I mean, I don't really see a whole lot left. I mean, from what I've been watching the hopscotch board, and if you look at my videos, I've been watching the different signs. I'm not one of these Bible scholars that's been pulling stuff. The stuff I have to pull out of the Bible is the stuff that I just see that's in the Bible that fits the actual play, because there's truth in everything. But again, that whole book is written in the form of a lie, but we know why, because you've got to put your will to create the next world. So that's just how that works. And I know there's people out there that don't believe in any of this. I've heard talking to people on the streets, they've been saying that they've been talking about the rapture for thousands of years. Yes, they have. They've been talking about it ever since everything got destroyed and we started going backwards in time through this false reality. That's how long they've been talking about it. And like I've said before, just like the little boy who cried wolf, the wolf eventually is going to show up. I've also had people question, what has God done for any of humanity? Well, to begin with, you're not supposed to be human. Get over yourself. Get over this life. It is all fake. When the Bible talks about the great deception, when the rapture happens, this is why I'm kind of hoping we do have a vague memory of this. when we go through the great awakening on the other side, and we look at this as like a dream, then yes, you're going to look back and go, huh, it was all a dream. It wasn't real. What you see around you is the great deception. I know people don't believe that. You know, what's God ever? God died. Remember, the Father in heaven, he's not here. Everything was killed. The children, the people with the speck of everything in them, are part of this that's doing that. So when the universe gets restored, and again, God is just a label, it is energy. Again, we get our language from the Phoenicians. You know, if people do any research, the Phoenicians, that's why Donald Trump, I'm pretty sure he's a Phoenician, actually. Now we can call that a Palladian. You know, there's just all kinds of different names that go around, just like Satan and Jesus, same two sides of the same coin, right? Just like our government, two sides of the same coin. My enemy's enemy is my friend. That's how they look at it. They went to war against us. They're only friends from that aspect. That's why they bicker and point fingers at each other and point at the audience and say, you know, you're to blame. It is what it is. So when the universe gets restored, that's why I said we're kind of heading more towards probably a Star Wars type reality with, because again, Star Trek, they keep track of time, they have star dates, they work on a credit system. That's all the same thing that goes down here. In eternity, you don't work on dates. If you watch any of the 9 Star Wars movies that's out there, I don't think there's a date 1 mentioned in any of those. And then, like in the case of Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, and Darth Vader didn't take him, you know, there was no body left when Darth Vader swung his sword on the Death Star and supposedly killed Obi-Wan. He just disappeared and started reappearing to other people. That's, again, if you watch Star Trek, The New Generation, look at the episodes that involve this guy that goes by the name of Q. Satan took the place on high, right? And Q is associated with, you know, like I said, Trump, JFK, Michael Jackson. Yeah, everybody loves these guys, and that's probably, you know, how you're bringing them with us, so to speak. I don't know. You know, so we are the Q, some of us. I don't even know how that works. But anyway, that's enough for the day. I revisited this a little bit in my head, and, you know, with the one explosion, the next explosion we're not going to see. It's just going to be the time jump, like the TV show Quantum Leap, if anybody remembers that thing. Alrighty, so enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully come Monday, somewhere in there, I don't know when this is exactly going to go down. My guess is we'll get into tomorrow, and once tomorrow comes and goes and we're into the evening, that 4th watch, to me, all bets are off, so to speak. So, yeah, I just love everybody. Enjoy your time, and hopefully we'll catch y'all on the flip side. All right, bye-bye.